Hi, I'm Rachel, and this is my quick Friday reads for September 14th, 2018. This has been a slow reading week for me and otherwise a somewhat exhausting week. I am in the middle of a job transition at work, but the real reason that's keeping my energies away from reading is this DC banned book scavenger hunt that I've been up to this past week. But luckily, I just finished that on up. I found the final book, and I'll be showing them off in the end of the month for my September book haul. But that means that I can get back to reading and writing and those goals. So in terms of what I finished this week, I don't technically have anything. I have 100 pages left in Golden Country by Jennifer Gilmore, the winner of my page 112 tag. And honestly, this is a pretty mediocre book, and I'm not feeling generous enough to give it more than 3 stars. It is a story that follows 3 separate couples, all Russian Jewish immigrants in the early 1900s when they were kids, who then grow up in the Golden Country, as it is called, America, trying to make their way mostly through the lens of peddling and invention or the mafia, those sorts of avenues that some Jews got caught up in, including the characters in this story. And I do sometimes think that Gilmore, in her narration, touches into interesting ideas about the nature of identity and being an immigrant and trying to make a name for yourself. I even put one of those, whoa, my condo's falling apart on me. Anyway, I even put one of those quotes or passages on Facebook. But overall, I don't think the characters there are that compelling. The women in particular, most of them are pretty melodramatic. I don't know what's going on there. The timelines jump around a lot. There's not a lot. I don't feel a whole lot of emotional investment. I mean, intellectually, I'm curious about what she's trying to go through, but the characters don't intrigue me on their own. So, meh. But I do intend to finish it because I tend to finish everything. Next, I actually wasn't going to start this right away. I was going to wait a bit. It's a library book, but usually the DC library, I can put things on hold. Renew my holds like a million times, and it's not a big deal. But in this case, there's only one book in the collection, and someone else put a hold on it, so they want me to give it back soon, and it is Fire Dance by Ilana Myer. This is my most anticipated adult fantasy of the year. It is a companion novel to Last Song Before Night, and I will read from the flap. Lynn Armarasath, newly initiated in the art of otherworldly enchantments, is sent to aid her homeland's allies against vicious attacks from the Fire Dancers, mysterious practitioners of strange and deadly magic. Forced to step into a dangerous waltz of tradition, treachery, and palace secrets, Lynn must also race the ticking clock of her own rapidly dwindling life in order to learn the truth of the Fire Dancers' war, or how she might prevent the death on a scale too terrifying to contemplate. That's it, actually. Very short and sweet and to the point. You can see the the dramatic intrigues in there, I guess, and the fact that Lynn is dying, I believe, is a holdover from the first book. And you are supposed to be able to read this book separately. It takes place in a new city and area with the same characters, though. But I think it helps to have read the first book first. I'm intrigued and slightly disappointed, I guess, because the main city, Tamralin, in her first novel was based off of Jerusalem, but I guess Myer is expanding onward and upward, and I am very curious to return to these characters. I enjoyed them, and I want to see where they will go next. And finally, later this week, I hope, if I can get my reading tempo back up to normal. So sometime around Yom Kippur, I hope to get to this book. This is A Palace of Pearls, the stories of Rabbi NACHMAN of BRATSLAV, as retold by Howard Schwartz. And this is a bunch of sort of the folk tales and fairy tales and things of that nature that were told by this this famous rabbi from a couple centuries ago, Rabbi NACHMAN of BRATSLAV. He founded a Hasidic sect, an ultra-Orthodox sect, but he's a relatively well-known and respected rabbi. In fact, I was at services for Rosh Hashanah, and my synagogue had like inspirational quotes all around the sanctuary, and one of them was by Rabbi NACHMAN. So I'm curious about this. This was a kind gift given to me by Steve Donahue, and I am in the mood for folklore of a Jewish tint, particularly as I'm trying to make up a world-building scheme for a fantasy novel I might be writing during NaNoWriMo. So that about covers it for me. Alas, I won't have as much time to read this weekend as I might hope, because my aunts flew in from Kansas to attend Paul Simon's farewell tour. He's playing tonight in DC, and I actually met them briefly after work, and they'll be spending this weekend at my parents' house in Baltimore. And of course my niece and nephew will be there too, and I have books to give them as well, and I want to see the family, but alas, so much to read, so little time. For a little while it seemed like my aunts might not come, because the weather was anticipating the possibility of Hurricane Florence actually reaching this far north, and even the DC and Maryland had states of emergency earlier in the week, preparing for like massive rain and winds and that sort of thing. But as it stands right now, it seems like most of the storm is definitely going to be far to the south of us, and my aunts aren't worried about being stranded here on the East Coast. But for those of you who are my neighbors to the south and the East Coast, I hope that you are all safe and healthy this weekend. I'm definitely checking on chats with friends of mine who are in that area. So stay safe, everyone. Happy reading. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.